Here we go. Here is the big board. Our top 5 picks. These are picks. If you want to play along with us, we'd love for you to do that. But here are the 5 games this week, and there's a little bit of difference, but not a lot. But Craig Smoak continues to lead by 1. Emory is now 3 back. And then Garrett and Paul are under 500.
Yeah, well, I was under 500 last week, and I made some – we both made gains. Garrett was 4-1. I was 3-2. So all my goal is straight out for the rest of the season is winning records. That's all I want is a winning record.
Keep away. Win 3.
Just win.
Just win 2 out of 3 in a series. Keep winning.
I can't worry about what all the rest of you guys do. I have to worry about me, I can't react. I just have to pick what I think is going to happen. I'm at a bit, and so is Garrett. We are at a bit of a disadvantage in that we make these picks at about 1:45 on Thursday, and then you guys can come in and change your mind, which I'm fine with, but I do have to keep that in mind to really break, really be confident in my picks, knowing that you guys can adapt a little. You have a little bit more time to adapt than I do. I'm not complaining.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, you're right. I think I actually sent Levi my picks pretty early today.
Yeah, but you can adapt. It's fine.
I really did.
I made the choice.
All right.
I'm the one who's trying to
Craig
do it for
is
Yuck
on
Yucks.
fire. He's gone
Yes.
8-2 the last couple of weeks, whatever it might be. Here we go. Arizona is a problem, but nobody on the committee at least thinks that they'll beat Oregon State.
No, I think it's going to be a fun game. I really have enjoyed the little bit I've watched before I fall asleep because I'm old. Noah Fafita, but I like what Oregon State has going. They have a real shot to win the Pac-12. I think that is, it's they've been confident and evident to them the whole time, but now that they really are closing on the back half of the season, I think that's what kind of gets it done for them.
Yeah, Oregon State's not a good road team, so I did debate this a little bit, and Arizona's a hot brand right now as far as just the momentum that they're kind of building up. Now, I don't want to blow it up and to be something that it's not, like they're big Pac-12 contenders or anything, but they're an improving football team, and they have experienced some of that rejuvenation with Fafita replacing Delora. So, I think Arizona's a darling for some this weekend, and I can understand why, given that they're hot and that Oregon State is not who they are at home when they take the road trips. I debate on this a little bit, but I just think Oregon State's a better team, and I have confidence in them being able to go out on the road, knowing that they have to play a bit sharper because they haven't had as good of a performance compared to their home slate. I think that they are well aware of where they're positioned right now heading into this final month, and I think they're a little bit better overall. So, I'm going with the Beavers here.
I haven't really seen Arizona. A couple of the games, the one that they took some people to the wire, I have not seen much of them. Jason Shear, by the way, in about 40 minutes will join us, who covers Arizona. But I like what I see, and I'll take Oregon State. They are just really a pretty damn good football team. All right. The next one, West Virginia, UCF, 2 teams that are West Virginia, of course, after the devastating loss late to Houston, and then UCF had Oklahoma almost in the coffin for that 1 week, but let them loose. And I will take UCF. That game is, I believe, in Orlando.
Yeah, yes, it is. I'm going to speak for Emory here in that he's probably betting on West Virginia's running game to take advantage of UCF. But John Rice Plumlee just makes this a completely different offense. And even when the defense is struggling, if you put him out there on the field, he changes the game so much because not only Timmy McClain's a super athletic guy who can do a lot of things, but John Rice Plumlee is just so much more polished than him. And it's that polish that, when you saw him healthy against Oklahoma, kept UCF in it the entire time and had Oklahoma thinking it was 1-2 point conversion away from going to overtime in that game. So, yeah, give me Plumlee, give me UCF in this one. West Virginia's starting to scuffle a little bit. I still doesn't change my mind about the job that Neil Brown has done this year, but I think UCF gets this one.
I just feel like UCF's due. I feel like they got some confidence built in that performance against Oklahoma. Granted, it is off a bye week, so they had a couple of weeks to prepare for that. But West Virginia is losing a little bit of steam. Everybody talks about C.J. Donaldson, though, like he's been having these great performances. He's been okay. Garrett Green's as much of a running threat, if not more of one, than he is at this point. So that's something you definitely look at is like maybe Donaldson can break out and pair that with Green, and that's WVU at their best potentially on offense, but we haven't seen that all come together just yet. And I like having John Rice Plumlee back. I like that they, like I said, got a little bit of confidence from last week, and this being in Orlando, I think that matters too. I do. I think that UCF's hungry for a win. They need it, and they got so close to having a huge one last week. Now you've got a team who's sort of limping in a little bit, but man, West Virginia's good, and so they win this game. I'm not going to be surprised by that in the slightest, but I lean UCF here.
All right, I do too. Garrett?
Yeah, as far as this, I'm kind of with Craig on that. I like the bounce house. I think the Knights have been looking for that signature win at home. John Rice Plumlee's definitely the X factor. West Virginia's just kind of been reeling as of late, and I think that's going to continue as they head into this week. I think they still find a way to get into a bowl game, but they're not going to. I have a good feeling that UCF's got it.
All right, there we go. Now this game here, this is the one I struggle with. I mean, a lot with Tennessee and Kentucky. Kentucky's now lost a couple of games. They're still pretty good. And Tennessee, of course, lost to Alabama, got blown out not blown out, but they really struggled in the second half against Bama. All three of us here on the set took Tennessee. Garrett, you're leaning towards the Wildcats.
I have a personal rule that if a team played Bama the week prior, I'm not picking them the next week. I think when you play Alabama, especially when you go into Tuscaloosa, you leave so much energy and just everything on the field that carries over the next week. That being the case, I think Kentucky wins in an ugly game.
Okay. I don't think it's good. Like, this is not going to be one of the ones that football scholars sit and watch down and go, oh my gosh, look at these two glorious offenses and these quarterbacks. My God, they should stop playing football right now because it'll never get prettier than this. I think it's
this is the perfect game.
Yeah, that's it. No, there's nothing that can top this. I'm walking away. I think Tennessee wins in their defense has been pretty salty, which surprised me a lot. Their defense is tough. Now Alabama got over them last week, but part of that was also Alabama's defense making some points happen. So, yeah, I'm going Tennessee here. I'm not supremely confident in this pick because, again, Tennessee's okay. They've been good. They're just not a great powerhouse of a team right now.
Yeah, I think it's a great point that Garrett makes. This game's also in Lexington, for those that feel like home field advantage really sways things, and so I can understand why Kentucky's a good pick to make. I wouldn't feel, bad if I decided to go with them. I give a slight advantage to Tennessee. I think they're, like you said, Paul, I think they're a good team. I don't think they're great by any means. I just think they're pretty good, and I think that they'll be able to go into Lexington and just be a little bit better. I wonder what the running games are going to look like here because both of these defenses are pretty stingy against the run. So I'd imagine that Joe Milton and Devin Leary are going to have a fun little battle for the quarterbacks, and how they're both able to succeed through the air will be really interesting. But Kentucky's given up less than 100 yards rushing per game. Tennessee averages over 215 per game, so something's going to have to give there. And so, yeah, I don't know. This is an interesting matchup, but I give the slight nod to the Vols.
All right, and I do too. I just feel like that's a really cool little thought process from Garrett.
I've just seen it too many times, man. I've seen too many teams go into Tuscaloosa or just play Bama in general, and the next week just
what do you think
is
more of a and obviously they're not the standard, but they're still really good. They're in the top 10 now. Is it more the mental playing them and getting up for them, getting hyped for them, or the physical toll of the game?
I honestly think it's a combo of both because you exert so much energy thinking about them throughout the week, and then when you get out there, man, that's a different animal than 9 times out of 10 anybody else you're going to see.
All right, and now we go to Duke and Louisville.
I picked Duke because I have faith in their defense. I think they won a game against a lesser team than Louisville, obviously, in NC State without Riley Leonard a few weeks ago. You don't know if he's going to try it out there or not and try to go. He might be able to talk him into it. I doubt it. The offense is going to be way different with Henry Beelan at quarterback, but I'm just taking Duke in that defense and Mike Elko with a week to prepare for this, ready to go and winning a game against Louisville. I clearly am in the minority on that one, but I waffled back and forth, but I'm leaning Duke in that defense just to kind of, for lack of a better term, Utah this up.
I just can't get past the Riley Leonard uncertainty. That's what bothers me is just the fact that we don't know whether he's going to play or not. And obviously you saw a massive difference when he wasn't in that game last week. So I know there's questions about Jawar Jordan for Louisville and whether he can play as well. So it's not like both teams are rolling in completely healthy or one's far healthier than the others. They're both potentially without star guys. But this game's in Louisville. Louisville's also had 2 weeks to prepare for this bad boy, so they should be geared up. They score points. Jack Plummer can turn the ball over a little bit too much, so I do think Duke's defense has an in here if they can play strong, but I just don't know where the points are coming from. That's the part for me that's hard to overlook. I think Louisville can play well against the run, so yeah, give me the Cardinals at home and also with a couple of weeks to prepare.
Garrett and Emery, all four. Craig and I all pick Louisville. Again, at the game at home, I think if it was on the road at Duke, I would most likely take the Blue Devils. And then you have another Pac-12 showdown. There's a bunch of them. Utah, and they're at home against Oregon, which, again, Utah's just found a way to win. That's who they are. This is their MO. That's who they are. Oregon, though, has so much, man, and you wonder if Utah has enough defense to try to muddy it up and enough points to score. All of us except Emery, we take the Ducks.
Look, and to me, the difference in this game is Bo Nix versus Bryson Barnes. I think that's what is the great separator here. Now, Emery's pick is not that bold. I mean, Utah winning at home and
picking Utah at this point in the Pac-12 game is not a super reach by any means.
Yeah, exactly. But I did want to throw this out. So this morning, scrolling through things, college football wise, I saw this column and it said Urban Meyer says who he thinks is the best coach in the country. And, you guys know I don't think highly of him, but I was curious to see what he was going to say, what he said. And did an interview, and he said Kyle Whittingham, because of what he's done, is the best college coach in the country. And I don't totally disagree with it, although I did find it ironic that it is some way away for Urban Meyer to compliment himself because Kyle Whittingham did used to work for him. But Kyle Whittingham has figured out a way through here in this conference where he shouldn't have a way through. It should have been the minute that they didn't have Cam Rising and the conference season started, whether they knew they were getting him back at some point or not, it would have been over for most teams, and he's found a way through. And that is ridiculously impressive.
Yeah, that was a great win last weekend. It also, in some ways, shouldn't have happened. Bear Alexander doesn't have one of the dumbest penalties I've ever seen. Then that game's probably over, and USC is not the story that we're talking about this week the way that we're talking about them. We're not talking about Lincoln Riley ducking, and was he going to do NFL interviews again behind the scenes, or is he going to interview another college? Because, when he was at Oklahoma, he suddenly disappeared. Next thing you know, by the end of the year, he was already sitting there with a job lined up. So, no, he's got pneumonia. That's all there is to it. But they were this close to celebrating a very huge win at home to Utah. And I don't think that all translates week to week necessarily, but I think Oregon's way better than USC in basically every way. And so, Utah at home is going to be tough. They're so stingy against the run, and they just have that grit about them. I don't think it's a reach to sit there and pick them, but I just think Oregon's a better overall team, just more explosive, and I feel like in a close game they have that little extra juice that USC doesn't necessarily have, or there's a smarter football team. And so give me the Ducks in what should be a great game.
You know what that Bear Alexander play reminded me of? It took me a second. But I was like, man, who else has committed a dumb penalty like that?
The guy that threw a shoe at somebody?
That one?
That was stupid. Yeah.
It was also – so you remember the last time that A&M played Texas?
Yeah.
Johnny Jolly hit Case McCoy so far out of bounds they could have gotten a drink of water together. And that's what set them up for that field goal, was that if he had just let Case McCoy run out of bounds, the next play is 4th down and 8 or something, and A&M has a legit opportunity to get a big time. Case McCoy was not his brother when it came to whipping the ball around the field.
Nope.
But Johnny Jolly, it was 4 steps out of bounds, just drilled him. And Case McCoy popped up thrilled because it was 1st and 10 Texas, and now they could go win the game.
You're right. And I thought there might have been, I believe, a face mask call or pass interference on that last drive, too. And one knucklehead play leads to another. And as you mentioned, Texas wins 27-25. All right, a couple of other college football notes.